Bryan Swanson.
I'm moving furniture. I'm done. They just broke a plate. Turtle! If you're in the military and you've ever been to Korea, in the dining facility. First time I got back from Korea, I was at Luby's with my folks. Somebody dropped the dish and I screamed turtle because that's what everybody does. And it was only about 2 days after I got back from Korea. So that's a great intro, right? Now, on to our speech and what we're going to talk about this evening. We're going to talk about win-win, misunderstandings. We're going to talk about a bunch of different stuff. But it all comes down to resolving conflict. We have conflict in our daily lives that range from work to our personal relationships, relationships with our children, relationships with our parents, relationships with our significant others. And today what I'm going to be speaking about, to kind of narrow it down a little bit so that we can talk on one topic, is work, our work scenario. And a lot of times I feel that resolving conflict comes out of misunderstanding. Misunderstanding from one side to another. So let's say by this example we have a manager or a leader, and I'll act as that representative. And we have two individuals that are cleaning up some turtle broken glass. And how are they going to clean up the broken glass? Right? How are we going to utilize those people? So we have two people, they've been tasked out to accomplish this, and you'll find this a lot in the military as well. And one person is more of a creative thinker. They think about things differently. How are they going to get from A to Z is completely different than the other person who may be more analytical, maybe more of a numbers type person. So the creative person may have a way that they're going to structure it, take it, it's going to be beautiful and wonderful. Voila. The numbers all the way down, here we go, bam, bam, bam. We got it, and we're down to Z, and we figured it out. But the two are clashing. The two are clashing because they're two different types of personalities. They have two different ways to solve the same exact problem. And so this is where the misunderstanding comes in. And they begin to clash. And then it's just kind of rubbing and rubbing and rubbing, and it's not getting any better. In other words, the friction is beginning to build. So as a supervisor, a leader, a manager, a person in charge to delegate this task, what I want to do is separate those people, but not separate them as though I'm going to put them in one room or another and you've been bad, you've been not so good, so go over here for a 5-minute timeout and you sit over there. We wouldn't do that to them. Although it may be fun, it could be good for a comical joke. But what I would do is I would begin to collaborate with these two people. I want to facilitate the discussion between them so that they can get this particular job done. One way I might go about that is that if I'm in an office setting and I have a nice big whiteboard, as many of y'all probably have these days at your offices, I might just draw a line in between the two, and we've got our creative side, or person number one and person number two, and our analytical side. And the thing that I would want to do and facilitate is to allow both parties to be able to tell us why their idea works and how they would get there from A to Z. So if you're a creative person, I'm going to jot down whatever your ideas are. It may be 3, 5, 7 different ideas. I don't want to inundate it. I'm not going to write down paragraphs or anything like that. But they need to be heard all the way through without any interruptions. You can't be interrupting them and asking questions along the way. They really need to feel as though they are being heard, because you're trying to break apart the friction that was there earlier. And typically some people are going back and forth, no, my idea is better than yours and your idea is better than mine. And we separate that and calm it down, let one person speak all the way through, then they feel validated. And we've heard them and we've listened. And then we do the same thing for our analytical person. Jot down some ideas about how they're going to get from A to Z. So now we're going to move to that collaboration stage. And this is where the part as the facilitator or the leader would be, okay, so as we're looking at our board here, we have 5 good ideas from the creative side, how we're going to solve this problem. and get that broken glass cleaned up. And over here we have 5 analytical problems. How could we, me asking both of them, maybe possibly blend the two? Is there something we could do to get these two ideas to possibly work together? And it might be as simple as over here, draw a line to that, and those two ideas work really, really well together. Because oftentimes you need a creative and you need the analytical, both to solve the problem. And that's what you're really trying to highlight by facilitating this, is to let each person know that their ideas are valid and they're more powerful together. It's like 2 brains are better than 1. Maybe it's why we have 2 hemispheres. I don't want to get into neuroscience because I'm not a doctor, but I do play one on the internet. All right, at least I got one joke. All right, y'all are with me. Alive. Woo, 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 woo. Does anybody need to drop any more glass out there? Turtle! Everybody's famished. They're hungry. Meals are late. From collaboration, what I'm hoping to achieve is that they begin to understand each other and that they're more powerful if they don't add in the friction. And they just begin to come up with ways, hey, I've got this idea and I've got this idea. Great, let's get together and see how we can meld these two and make a wonderful peanut butter and jelly sandwich so they can be deliciously eaten. And ultimately that's the goal, right? We want a delicious peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We want it to all go together very nicely, very nicely. So through that, we want to create the win-win scenario. And the win-win scenario, it's obvious. It's going to be a win-win for the creative person. It's going to be a win-win for the analytical person. It's going to be a win-win for the job that needs to get done. It's going to be a win-win for me as well. So it's a win-win all the way around. Actually, that may be a win-win-win-win and one more win for the cleaned up glass. So that's a lot of wins in there. Overall, what we're looking to do is when people have conflict, and it can be obviously in many different facets of our life, but within work, all we want is we want people to feel validated. Oftentimes they get shut down too quick, and that's what frustrates them. And then all of a sudden, even if you're analytical or you're creative, your creative juices start to kind of die down. You don't feel like you're a part of the team. You don't feel like your input has any value. And if you feel that way and you're sitting back and you're reluctant to engage in the topic or throw out your ideas that could solve the particular problem, then we're not getting the best out of you. We want to get the best out of you. We want you to give your best, and you want to give your best as well. So it's oftentimes realizing that when that conflict begins, that we can step back, we can do just a little separation, a little facilitating, help draw some conclusions for them. And if they're professional and they're mature, they're probably going to be like, oh, yes. And the light will go off, and it'll be a wonderful peanut butter and jelly sandwich that'll be so delicious with a glass of milk. If you're not lactose intolerant, like I am, I can't even eat bread. Don't feel bad for me, because I'm going to get a creative person up there to solve that problem. Okay? So, 3 things I'd like you to think about when resolving conflict within the workplace. Number 1, misunderstandings happen all the time. We all come from different walks of life, different education levels. It's going to be abundant in the workplace. Okay? Number 2, work to collaborate. And if you have to facilitate that, that is a great way to get collaboration going. You create win-win scenarios for everyone. For yourself, for the company, and both of the individuals. Ms. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Bryan.